Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Around the Wicket. So we're here today to discuss the devastating test match, which is the fifth test that took place between India and England at Edgbaston, Birmingham. So poor start for Jasprit Bumrah's captaincy career and redemption for England after being down 2-1 in a test series. India still do not win a test series in England in a long, long time. So a bad test overall for the India. Actually, a good test overall for the Indians. They were in control for most of the test over 3+ days, and England just took it away with that historic and record-breaking run chase of 387. So overall, a good like a good time of test cricket, but not very good for the Indian fans. So what are your general thoughts on it, Rehan?
First of all, you couldn't defend 380 runs, 380 runs. This is England's highest chase ever. This England side, we just lost 4-0 against Australia and lost to the West Indies in West Indies. What a shitload of bowling that was, especially in the second innings. Honestly, like I haven't seen bigger clowns since Vivian when he's trying to hit on girls. Like it's absolutely embarrassing. Um, yeah, I'm embarrassed by our bowling performance and our batting performance, but I'm just embarrassed by this match. I want to forget it.
Good time to diss on Vivian because he's not here. We'll try to do the same. But 416 in the first innings, a huge 100 from Rishabh Pant, and a good supporting act from Ravindra Jadeja. Two consecutive failures of Virat Kohli and Hanuma Vihari. Shubman Gill at the top of the order also had two poor innings. So did Shreyas Iyer. And on the bowling department, Jimmy Anderson picks up a fifer yet again. And in the second innings, it's a combined effort, but Ben Stokes picking up 4 wickets. On the wicket of Kohli, actually, bit of extra bounce right about there. On the England side of things, century for Johnny Bairstow in the first innings, no real support other than that. And another century for him in the second innings, along with a 142 from Joe Root. So let's talk about England's batting a bit before moving on to anything else. What do you think about the new approach that this side has taken? So we've seen in the ODI game that they've taken this approach of just keep hitting, just keep hitting, just keep hitting. And they've tried to replicate this approach as we have seen in the second innings now of this test match and even in their series against New Zealand. And this is something that Rishabh Pant has been doing for a long time now. Long time means like however long his career has been, and it's something that a lot of people are starting to take a look at. So, what are your thoughts on this new approach that might turn the way Test cricket is played?
Yeah, I mean, it's like looking at it from an England point of view. Obviously, if I was an England fan, I would be pretty happy. I mean, they're scoring runs. They're not 11 for 3 after 5 overs every match. Um, it's uh, it's good to see a player like Lees also, who's historically been a very slow player, even in counties and even when I saw him in West Indies, he's been notching up his intent, and you can see the results. He batted pretty decently, but most of England's batting, I think, just hinged on two players who are in very good form. That being Joe Root, who's been in sublime form for a long time, and Johnny Bairstow, who's just been brilliant. He's got 600s in his last 11 innings, and before that, in like 80 odd tests, uh, he had 600. So it's they're being carried by these two players, and I think we're just seeing the results of that. I don't think they can sustain this for a long period of time because see, a player like Ollie Pope, he won't work out at three. Zach Rawley's been consistently failing. Alex Lees has some potential, yes, but Joe Root, Johnny Bairstow, and Ben Stokes sort of, but yeah, I think they've just been carrying it, and as soon as one of them loses form, this will just go back to the exact same England team that we faced in the first half of the series.
So, do you think Ben Stokes is a good number 6 for them? Because according to me, he should play a bit up the order based on the skills that he has.
See, I think Ben Stokes would work at number 6 if he actually tries playing properly in this test and versus New Zealand. he was playing like, I don't know, like a drunk dad, bro. Like he was just wildly swinging. We know his talent. We know that he can bat properly. He was just blindly swinging. Like at least have common sense. Like what we saw in Headingley against Australia, he was really slow for like 90% of his innings, and then he exploded. Like he was playing as a proper batter. So even now, just because you've moved down the order, you don't need to wildly swing. Play like a proper batter, and when the right balls come, then explode. I think he just needs to play smarter cricket, and I think number six would work out for him.
Okay, let's talk about the India's batting. It's been the same situation as like we've seen previously in Test cricket, where the top order fails, and then it has to be Rishabh Pant, Ravindra Jadeja, Shardul Thakur, Ravichandran Ashwin. These guys pulling you up from the bottom, and we've seen it again this time, where Hanuma Vihari poor scores both innings, Pujara poor score in one innings, Kohli, Gill again poor scores in both innings. Then you had to rely on Rishabh Pant and Ravindra Jadeja to take you through. So, what do you think is the solution for this top order sort of a rut where the entire top order consistently fails?
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say, good innings by Pujara. I think he should. I think he's done enough to um, keep his place in the Test side. And me being a Pujara fan, it's good to see his return. Like I'll start off with the positives. Even Rishabh Pant, amazing innings. It's the first time he's gotten 150 in the same match. Like he just basically carried us this match, and like Pant was brilliant. Like he can take his pants off for real. Would love that. And Jadeja, again, he we just like in the last year and a half, since basically 2019, he's shown his skills as a batter. And like I've been calling for some time, he should definitely bat up the order at six. I think he would even make a better number five than what we've got with Shreyas Iyer. Um,
Just to
yeah,
pause,
and
just to pause you there. So recently, Jimmy Anderson released a statement saying that Jadeja hasn't like improved his batting drastically over the last few years. He's just been sent up the order. How much do you agree with this statement?
um, I can see part of that being true, but I definitely think he's improved a lot. If you see his averages since 2018 specifically, um, it's gone up like 25 runs, which is insane. It's too big of a difference just to like result in a change one position up the order. Um, but especially in test matches, I think he's always had the ability. I definitely think in white ball cricket, he's improved his batting like tenfold. But in test matches, he's had the ability. But I think he's improved his game versus swing and pace in general a lot more. Like even in Australia, he got a 50. In West Indies, he's batted well, and we've seen this whole series in England, he's batted really well. I don't think you can like come conclude that it's entirely up to the change in position, but yeah, I think now if he actually moves up the order, we'll see even better results because Jadeja right now bats with the tail a lot, so he has to take more risks inherently. If we see him batting with more proper batters, I think his average will increase more. I don't think there's a big difference between moving from 8 to 7, but like 7 to 6 or 5, I think that would make a big difference in his scores.
Okay, yeah. So just moving back to the previous topic we were talking about, Kohli, Vihari's batting. So I'll just we can see that Pujara in his first innings he scored I think 13 odd. Shubman Gill scored 17. Vihari scored like 11, and in the second innings Vihari got 11. First innings he got 20. So one thing that's been really nagging me for a while is when these slow batters bat, because these days the bowlers they bowl one or two balls that just have a name on it, right? Because Jimmy Anderson he bowls a couple of jaffers to Pujara, and the balls are so good that you can't play them. They're like meant for you to get out. It's almost unplayable deliveries, right? So there might be some sense in attacking to get as many runs as you can before you get such balls, because believe me, with these pitches, with these bowlers, you will, as you're seeing clearly with Pujara. So a 10 or 60 balls on Pujara will get him out. But then if he uses the 60 balls to score a 30 or a 35 or a 40, you get the Indian team gets way more purchase from it. So do you think the entire top order should bat in a way that both KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma do, and to an extent even Shubman Gill does, because the old style batting of Vihari and Pujara, more often than not, it's not come off, especially in this England series.
See, so obviously the top order we had this game is not our normal top order. Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul were obviously absent. I think there is a point to be made that you can't bat as slow as you did anymore, but like I still think that that could work, because we've been talking about Pujara for a long time, how he always gets out to the best of deliveries, and I think that that is a point, that he just bats so long, a delivery like that is bound to come. Um, but I think we still need players like that, because you got to remember, in test matches, pitch deteriorates, so it helps if your team bats more overs to put pressure on the opposition in the next innings, and obviously to negate the swing, and especially with the Duke's ball, as we see after the 35th over, the swing just becomes negligible almost. So I think there is a point to be made that we need a few players batting slow, but um, but yeah, I think a bit more proactiveness might help. But I don't know if you could really say that for this test, because England were bowling pretty solid. Um, at least when the ball was swinging, like especially Matthew Potts. But 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 yeah, I don't really see that as the main issue for what, like, our batting needs more focus on.
So Virat Kohli, what's up with him? What's his issue?
Virat Kohli. So um, I don't know. He just seems to be in a mix of a lot of bad things. So obviously there's like unlucky stuff. Um, there's his slight technical difficulties with knowing where his stumps are. Um, and then sometimes he tries being defensive and he gets like an unplayable delivery. Sometimes he goes overly attacking and they take like a brilliant catch or something. It's and but we've been saying this for a long time. I mean, you could say, like, if the ball hadn't bounced so much, if the ball hadn't swung so much, if the ball hadn't spun so much, if the fielder hadn't taken such a brilliant catch, Virat Kohli would have had his 71st hundred by now. But we can't keep saying that forever. Um, yeah, we just can't. He needs to find a way to improve, because um, other batters in the exact same conditions are batting well and are surviving. You can't just carry on this unlucky thing for so long. He needs to he needs to change something. Maybe he needs to take a few white ball series off next year in like February and March, and go for the Ranji Trophy before the IPL. Maybe that's what he has to do. Maybe he needs to go to county championship like Pujara, but that happens during the IPL, so I don't think that's possible, unfortunately. It's just tough to say what's going wrong with him, but but yeah, at this point, at least in the test team, you can't replace him. I don't think there is a viable option to replace him, as we've seen with the downgrades of Ajinkya Rahane and Cheteshwar Pujara. So yeah, he just needs to bat his way back into form, I guess.
I actually don't think it's very hard to replace him in the test team, because if you open with Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, and you bat Pujara at three or Shubman Gill at three, you bat one of the other at four, which is Virat Kohli's spot. Then you have Hanuma Vihari at five. Then you have obviously Rishabh Pant, Ravindra Jadeja, and whoever your bowling attack is to follow. So I don't think it would be that difficult to replace him. But
Okay,
because
but thoughts on our slip cordon? What's going to happen to that? Our slip cordon's anyway malnourished. So without Virat Kohli, uh,
no, still, I think they tried out a different slip card this time. I was very surprised to see Virat Kohli standing at first slip. Usually I like to see Cheteshwar Pujara there. But if that is the case, then it's quite easy. I think you have Rohit Sharma at first. No, you have Pujara at first slip, Rohit Sharma at second slip, Shubman Gill at third slip, Hanuma Vihari at gully. That would be mine. But um, Virat Kohli, in out of all the formats, Virat Kohli's spot should be most contested in Test cricket because in T20 cricket he's been in good form. We know his numbers. Even though everyone's saying he's bad in T20 cricket, in T20 international cricket he's doing better than Babar Azam, at least a better average at more runs. So you can't talk shit about him in T20 cricket. The only thing you can actually talk shit about him is in Test cricket, which is where he has an average of like in his 20s, right? So that's where the issue is. But let's move on to that. Let's talk about the bowlers. Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami bowl their hearts out.
Wait, wait, I need to talk about some more of these, some more of the batters. Like we are speaking of downgrades. Like speaking of downgrades, let's talk about like Shreyas Iyer and Hanuma Vihari. I mean, bro, like Shreyas Iyer, you just know when he comes out to bat, our whole batting lineup will like burn down. Like he came out to bat at 6 in this Test match. They were shielding a specialist batter against fast bowling. Like God help me, he's a specialist batter and you send a keeper above him at 5. It's ridiculous, bro. Like when he was on the crease, man was doing like chamak challa out there, bro. Like he can't play fast bowling. He's scared of the short ball. So you know, like when he goes out to bat, like it's just gonna fail. And like when he went out, he wasn't like ducking against it. He wasn't leaving them. He was swatting his bat. He was swatting his bat at it. It was like at least have the confidence against the short ball uh, to like just not play it. He's scared of the ball. His confidence is against it is like so low. He was going like Jam Mata Di at it. He was just swatting it and he was just getting out of the. He was dancing on the crease. It was ridiculous to watch. It was like pathetic, honestly. I don't see how you
You know where the fielder was. The fielder was at, I wouldn't say the fielder was at mid wicket, but the fielder wasn't even back on the boundary. So by playing that ball, he hasn't even cleared 3/4, right? 3/4 is where you're between the deep mid wicket fielder and the short mid wicket fielder. He isn't even able to clear that with at like a high speed pace that's coming up. He's not able to clear that. So we have seen that there's clear problem in Shreyas Iyer. I think he had a good series against West Indies, whatever. But after that, it's just been terrible. He's been terrible for the Kolkata Knight Riders. He's been terrible in the T20 series. He's been terrible here. So generally, Shreyas Iyer, in my opinion, he's a he's a he's a he's a made for ODI batsman, right? Someone like a Shikhar Dhawan, he plays ODI in Test, T20, and ODI. Just so that Shreyas Iyer, I think he's a batsman that's made for one-day cricket. He's not made for Test cricket or T20 cricket. But sometimes what we see with teams is just because you're doing good in one place, they take you to the other and they expect you to do the same there. But that's not the case. I think there are players who are specialists in their own formats, like Chedeshwar Pujara is a Test specialist. Like that, you need to have. There are certain players that you have specialists for. Shikhar Dhawan is your ODI specialist. I think Shreyas Iyer should be one player who should be only looked at for the ODI squad because you have players like Mayank Agarwal, Shubman Gill, and many other batsmen waiting for the Shreyas Iyer has. Even if it's not these youngsters, you have new people coming in like Priyank Panchal, or you have someone like KS Bharat, or just anybody waiting to grab the opportunity for the Indian Test team. And I don't think it should be taken by Shreyas Iyer just as of yet. But anyway, let's talk about his bowling counterpart, who was as bad, Mohammad Siraj. I think Bumrah and Shami, you can't say much bad about them because Shami bowled his heart out. He got a bit unlucky, and Shami was just beautiful with the ball. So was Bumrah to an extent. He bowled. He got the breakthroughs in the first innings, right? But what about Mohammad Siraj and Shardul Thakur, India's backup seamers, who went for the highest ever economy rate that any backup Indian seamers have ever gone for?
Yeah, I mean, see, sometimes I just feel like Shami is like the most unlucky bowler ever. The amount of false shots he gets from batters, but never gets an edge, or the edge never carries, or it goes just past the stumps. It's unbelievable. Like his average in England is 40, but whenever you see him bowl, you can't believe that his average is so high. It's uh, it's hard to believe, honestly. And Bumrah in the first innings, he was fantastic with the bat and ball, actually. But in the second innings, I just think everyone was awful. I mean, Siraj was bowling at 7 runs per over almost. Um, Lord Thakur was going at 6. Bumrah went at 5 and Shami's at 4. I mean, they were doing like England level shit, bro. Like they're bowling too full. Like I get you want to be aggressive, but the ball isn't doing shit. Just bowl proper line and length. The England batters will mess it up because of their new approach. They'll attack that line and length, which means they will induce an edge, which means the ball that nips back in, they won't be able to bring their bat down in time to get that LBW out of the equation. Like just bowl line and length, just be patient and just let them make the mistakes. Why you trying to like get them out when they'll just do that themselves? Like that's just inherently in their approach. They're going to go at the ball, which means they will nick it, but they won't nick it if you bowl half volleys. They'll cream that for 4 over covers. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, look, what the hell was that tomfoolery? Like those figures were worse than our ODI figures in our last series. Bhuvneshwar Kumar went less than all of our bowlers in that second innings in a T20I game. That's ridiculous. Like Lord Thakur, my God, I still can't believe they didn't pick Ashwin, especially seeing the pitches that England have had this summer. I mean, Jack Leach got a 10. What do you think Ravichandran Ashwin could do? He's probably he's in our all-time best 11, Test 11. He's the world number 2 Test bowler at the moment. And you pick Lord Thakur over him, who's not a proper batter, who's not a proper bowler. He just bowls balls, and the batsmen think those balls are so bad that they make a mistake. It's nothing special, honestly. Like Lord Thakur, more like Laude Thakur. Am I right? But but yeah, and like Siraj. Like when are people gonna realize that Siraj isn't that good? He has no cricketing brain. See, he might have the skills, but without the skills, I mean, without the brain, the skills are rendered useless. He kept bowling short balls to Bairstow and bowled half volleys to Root. What is the logic in that? What do you think is going to happen? Like honestly, like, and he kept bowling it. Like it's fine if you bowl an over of short balls and then you go for 20 and you realize that's a mistake. But he kept doing it. Like I just don't get that logic. Like what did you expect? Like seriously, it's such a huge downgrade from Ishant Sharma and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Like we're talking about downgrades from Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane. I think Siraj and Thakur are worse downgrades from Ishant and Bhuvi compared to the batting downgrades.
And Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is just a beautiful bowler to watch when he's bowling, right? If you can do that with the white ball or whatever he does, with the red ball, it was even more pronounced and it was even more prolific what he did. And Ishant Sharma is just an old war horse that comes and does the job for you all the time. I think he should play again. He shows to Ramesh
Yeah, I
Yadav.
mean, at least Ishant Sharma, even when he was bowling quote unquote badly against South Africa and England in those 2 test matches, he had 2 bad test matches. Remember, in his comeback in the home series against England, he bowled well. He bowled really well in the World Test Championship final. Like people forget about that thing. He was holding up the end really well. Um, he whenever he bowls bad, he never goes at a high economy. He doesn't get wickets, but he bowls at hard line and length, and he's very, very economical, which even if he isn't getting wickets, actually builds up pressure. And like for Jasprit Bumrah or Mohammad Shami on the other end, they reap the rewards by taking the wickets. Even if Ishant isn't getting help from the pitch or the ball, his accuracy is so brilliant that he is a useful bowler to have anywhere. And then you have Siraj and Thakur who just don't know what they're doing. Ishant Sharma should be back in our test team for sure.
Yeah, so let's just quickly end the episode by talking a bit about England's overall English performance. I think what I found hilarious was the fact that they chose to bowl Joe Root over Jack Leach to Rishabh Pant. I mean, I understand the ball spinning away from the batsman, but that was just funny to watch. Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad will just keep coming at you. But one thing I want to talk about is seeing Anderson versus Kohli for the last time. Um, you know, just go ahead and give your thoughts on the rivalry that's been going on over the years, and it's finally come to an end.
Yeah, I mean, you got like one of the greatest bowlers of all time. You got one of the greatest batsmen of all time. It's a joy to watch their battles. I mean, in 2014, Kohli had one of his worst series of all times, and Anderson just had his number. And then in 2018, Kohli didn't get out to Anderson once. Kohli came back strongly. And then in 2021, 2022, it's been a mixed bag. I mean, it's been 50-50. So I guess you could say the score, if Kohli lost the first one, Anderson won the first one, and this one was a tie. It ended at 1-1, which which is a fitting way to end one of the the great battles between bat and ball. I would say there's no clear winner because those both are just so good at their respective skill. Um, but yeah, another battle I want to talk about, which actually is like goes under the radar and is actually possibly even uh, more thrilling and I guess a close battle, is Joe Root and Jasprit Bumrah. Actually, if you see, like people talk about Anderson and Kohli, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, their bowling and batting counterparts are having a brilliant battle of their own, which could possibly become the new Kohli Anderson going into future series, because those two clearly have more matches in their future.
So yeah, it's the end of an era, you could say. No one knows how long Jimmy Anderson going to play for, and Kohli, I hope, is going to play for a very long time. So just a thought on the revelation of Matthew Potts, because he's been he debuted against New Zealand and he's gotten the world's best out. He's gotten Virat Kohli out, if I'm not wrong. I think he did. Right? We have Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, both the big guns. Only Steve Smith left to get next. But Matthew Potts in a revelation. He hits the deck hard. He gets the ball to bounce. He gets the ball to do things. He's in a way he's a sort of a mini Neil Wagner. He doesn't get the ball up there, but he keeps on banging it in and asking questions to the batsman. So he's another pacer added to the pool that England already have. So what do you think about Matthew Potts, and just compare him to what we see in Craig Overton and Ollie Robinson and Mark Wood and the other test options that England have?
Okay, so obviously I was very impressed with him. I saw actually one of his county games where he plays for Durham, and he's a very solid bowler. He's been bowling really well, but we know this, like England bowlers generally will always succeed at home. The real test is whether they can do it outside of home. That's really the real key. I still don't like, he bowled really well, but I don't think he fits into England's first choice bowling attack, because I think at home, especially, I think Anderson is better. I think Vokes is better. I think Ollie Robinson is better. Um, yeah, and then you have Ben Stokes as your fourth seamer in there. But I've been quite impressed by him. I think he bowled definitely better than what we saw from Craig Overton last year, and what we saw from Jamie Overton against New Zealand. But I still think I would prefer, if Mark Wood was available and fit, I would prefer him. Oh, and Jofra Archer is there. Jofra Archer and Mark Wood above, because of their extra pace, and and if you're going for like more uh, aggressive bowlers in terms of bounce and and stuff, and enforcers as you would call them, I would still prefer other bowlers. But I think he's a very useful backup. I'll be interested to see how he does. I think they're going to Pakistan later this year. So Pakistan, from what we saw in the series versus Australia, Pakistan would need a good enforcer. Like England would need a good enforcer bowler in Pakistan, and up until now, Ben Stokes has been doing that, but I think Ben Stokes is actually better when he swings the ball. So I would be interested to see who plays that enforcer role, and if it's Matthew Potts, I'll be interested to see how he fares in that role.
All right, we're done for this test. I think it was a very sad test. I think it's a great approach. The term Bazball, that of course Ben McCallum doesn't like, but it is true. And it's what Rishabh Pant's been doing for a long time, so I don't know what the hype is all about. But good from Best or good from good on England. 2-2. India have been put in a tough position with their World Test Championship final spot. There are obviously many permutations and combinations. We get them at a later time. But let's just end with around the wicket awards for this test. So I'm gonna go with the first award as best innings. Right? Which innings do you like the most? We had 400s in this test. I'm assuming we're going to pick one of those. So, which was your favorite innings to watch?
Okay, my favorite innings to watch, uh, this test or the whole series?
No, this test, only this test.
Okay. So this test, my favorite innings to watch, um, would probably be Rishabh Pant's 146, I believe. He just made everything look so easy. He didn't find anything tough at all. And like when a batsman makes things look that easy, like Kohli did in his prime days, like Rohit Sharma still does to this day, um, it's just a joy to watch. And I think this was probably one of Pant's best hundreds ever, probably his best hundred. Um, yeah, it was great to watch.
Everything that you said for Rishabh Pant, but different innings. It's an innings by this man I call my goat, Jasprit Bumrah, 31 of 16, just so easy on the eye and uplifting to watch. Of course, he was not out at the end. I think his prolific batting skills against Stuart Broad brought me to tears at over 35 runs. Just beautiful. So the best bowling performance. Let's look at bowling performances. Let's just divide them into innings again. So best bowling performance by an innings measure. I'll go first. I don't know if you've looked at all the innings or not. So we have many options, but I would take Jimmy Anderson's 5 for 60 in the first innings against India. I think he got really good shape, and I think he bowled a lot of unclearable deliveries. And if you see the wickets he got, they aren't like cheap wickets. They're all 4 of the 5 are like top or a huge batsman. So Jimmy Anderson is for me.
Yeah, personally, I don't think it was a very good test for bowlers in general. But I'm going to go with actually Mohammad Shami's innings. Yeah, bowling innings in the first innings because he bowled 22 overs. He went for 3.54. He only got 2 wickets, but I just loved watching that innings. I mean, the shape he was getting, the false edges, the false shots he was inducing, and I think mainly Jasprit Bumrah's success in that innings was because of the pressure that Shami put. So I'm going to go for Mohammad Shami.
All right then. So these are the two main awards. Now, wait, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, let's talk about your favorite moment of the match. Is there any moment of the match that caught your eye or that stood out for you? So who gets the award for the best moment of the match?
Best moment of the match. I mean, this is tough, but I'll probably go with. Uh, Actually, this is quite tough. What should I go with? Sorry, I mean, it's just hard. I'm kind of depressed. Can only think about the bad things after that loss. All of the good things have disappeared. But I would probably go with Chiteshwar Pujara's 50. I think he was left out of the team for the Sri Lanka series. It was unfair to him. I don't think you can bracket him in the same level as Rahane. So I think him getting a 50 and solidifying his place back into the Indian team was a nice moment for me as a fan of him.
So I not chose a moment that I actually liked, but it's just a funny moment for me because it shows you, one of the ironies of life. I think it's I'm going to take Virat Kohli dismissal from the first innings where he, just two minds left the ball. His bat was very high, nicked it, hit the stumps. I think it's kind of like a mockery of what's been happening to Virat Kohli over the last couple of years because he's just been so unlucky. And that dismissal too, it was unlucky. That ball could have gone anywhere. The ball didn't even have to hit the bat. It was an attempted leave, but a double in two minds. So it's that moment for me that it was a bit funny watching that. I was just so I was studying and I was watching that, and as soon as that happened, it was just like it was just disbelief because it's happened. It's happened many times over the last couple of years. Completely unlucky dismissals related to runouts and whatnot, and it's been painful to watch. So yeah, that's my favorite moment. Not favorite moment, but just ironic moment. So we'll end the episode here, and it's been a good 5 Test match series. It's put both teams in a difficult position in terms of the World Test Championship table, and I don't think England can get through. India is the only team that can get through. So just some final words then. Rehan, do you have anything to end on?
Yeah, I have a few final words. I mean, Bihari, get better. Shreyas Iyer, learn how to bat. Laude Thakur, get out of the team. And Mian Magic, uh, learn how to get good. But that's about it. And uh, and yeah, I have to say one last thing. Um, I am formally denouncing this Indian team. I am taking this ridiculous jersey off, and um, and yeah, personally, I'm now a Zimbabwe cricket team fan. Bring on the limited over series versus Zimbabwe. You guys know who I'm going to be supporting. Go on, Harare boys.
Deep words, deep words. Anyway, just pray for Kohli to get good and pray for Shreyas Iyer to be dropped, I guess. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.